Hello and welcome to FIA Pure Motorsport. On this week's episode, we look back at the season start of the Bridgestone FIA ecoRally Cup. We'll have the best action from the Formula Regional Oceania season. Plus, we'll take a look at the 24/7 job of race team managers and much, much more from the FIA World of Motorsports. The Bridgestone FIA ecoRally Cup is entirely devoted to electric vehicles running in regularity events. Anyone can take part who owns an unmodified car that is registered for the road. And that's what makes this event so popular. Two factors decide who ends up on top of the podium: consumption and regularity. The goal is to drive from A to B in a precisely defined time and, at the same time, pay attention to consumption. The events are becoming more popular every year, with the number of participants increasing and the events getting more and bigger. This year, there are more events than ever before, with 9 rallies taking place in Portugal, Switzerland, and Monaco, among other places.
It is a grassroots discipline. It is something which is afforded and accessible for everybody, but it is really a door to the real motorsport. So anybody who still was not participating actively in motorsport can try it, can use his own road car, and we'll see if this is really something which is maybe good for his future and he will continue in the career, or if he will just participate as a hobby driver. So this is really a grassroots and accessible motorsport discipline.
The first 3 events of the new season immediately showed how varied the locations and challenges are at the Bridgestone FIA ecoRally Cup. The first stop took place for the first time in Östersund, Sweden. Östersund is an urban area in Jämtland in the middle of Sweden and is located on the shores of Sweden's 5th largest lake, Storsjön.
My name is Niklas Dahlsson. I am the mayor of Östersund, and I would say a very warm welcome to you, distinguished guests, co-drivers and teams. And I am here to give you all the very welcome to Östersund City.
The Östersund Winter ecoRally is the first rally to use 100% wind and hydropower energy and to take place in snow, ice, and sub-zero temperatures. This is a completely new situation for the 17 participating teams because the weather has, of course, a huge influence on the driving style, but especially on the consumption of the e-cars, which is much higher at low temperatures. The route of the rally has been designed to go through the landscape of the province of Jämtland. This meant that the teams had to get adapted to the narrow and icy roads in Sweden. Then they could enjoy the wonderful winter landscape. It was an incredible experience for all the participants, especially for the teams that are not at home in Sweden, and a challenge they certainly mastered. In the end, 2 teams from France took 2nd and 3rd place, but nobody could threaten the success of Guido Guerini from Italy and his Polish co-pilot Artur Pruszak. In their Kia Niro EV action, they scored maximum points in both regularity and consumption. The perfect start to a new season. From wintry Sweden, we headed south to Spain. The second stop of the Bridgestone FIA ecoRally Cup took place at the Mediterranean Sea. The ecoRally de la Comunitat Valenciana 2023 is the 10th edition of the Spanish event. 20 competitors tackled a route of over 500 kilometers. Last season's 3 first-place finishers, 2-time champion Eneko Conde and Luca Sargnese, Sweden's winner Guido Guerini and Artur Pruszak, and the Czechs Mikael Zdarsky and Jakub Nabelek were also part of the field. The participants who had to master the first stage of 200 kilometers with 2 regularity zones crossed the main wind farms of Renomar in the Els-Ports regions as in the previous editions. The second day was divided into 2 sections, one in the morning and the other in the afternoon. And like on the first day, numerous municipalities were visited along the more than 300-kilometer route. 2-time champion Eneko Conde and Luca Sargnese won first place by beating the Canary Islanders Tony and Ade Lujuan, who came in second. The podium was completed by the Cantabrian pair Ricardo Gonzalez Pozueta and Jose Manuel Salas in third place. The third stop of the Bridgestone FIA ecoRally Cup took the teams to the Czech Republic. The 11th edition of the CEZ Czech New Energies Rally took place in beautiful South Bohemia. The town of Český Krumlov is among the most visited places in the country. The historic center with the castle complex is protected by law as an urban monument reservation, and since 1992 it has been a designated UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its well-preserved Gothic Renaissance and Baroque architecture. No wonder the rally attracted a full field of 41 crews, including elite drivers from abroad. In total, 9 European countries were at the start. During the two-day rally, in which the crews had to cover a total of 492 kilometers with 18 demanding regularity tests, it became apparent that the competitors were on equal footing. First place was fought over from the start until the final test, which finally decided it. While the winners of the past 2 years, Michal Zdarsky and Jakub Nabelek, did best in the regularity rally, Andrzej and Teresa Hunchowski were the most successful couple in consumption, winning the rally thanks to the combined score. The Spaniards, reigning world champions Eneco Conde and Lucas Argnese with the Kia e-Soul, took second place. Michal Zdarsky and Jakub Nabelek finished third in the 11th edition of the CEZ Czech New Energies Rally. In recent years, the Bridgestone FIA ecoRally Cup has become increasingly popular. This year, the competition reaches a whole new level. The FIA is partnering with Bridgestone in a groundbreaking collaboration as the title partner of the Bridgestone FIA ecoRally Cup.
We are very happy that we can cooperate with Bridgestone, and we are very thankful for this cooperation. Bridgestone is a global brand of tire supplying, and we hope that that will help us to spread the ecoRally and these activities on the global level. And this is exactly what we want to focus.
Bridgestone's new multi-year support will give the ecoRally Cup a boost and is a perfect fit for the competition.
Bridgestone believes that the FIA ecoRally Cup has the same value with our direction, aiming to address major environmental concerns like energy saving, promoting the adoption of zero-emission vehicles, foster positive behaviors of motorsport competitors, and a commitment of the brand to international motorsport, and additionally a focus on road safety in general.
The event provides Bridgestone opportunity to further promote Enlighten technology. Enlighten technology is innovative core technology that realizes superior products concerning the sustainability and evolution of mobility. The considerable reduction in tire weight, rolling resistance, and longer wear life per used raw materials help to conserve resources and lower the environmental impact, while also extending the EV's range with tire technology that achieves balance of various performances, such as driving performance with no trade-offs. So Enlighten technology is innovative core technology that maximizes social value and customer value.
In order for Bridgestone to accelerate its transformation into a sustainable solutions company, we have set up our corporate commitment called Bridgestone E8 Commitment. Through partnership with FIA on this ecoRally Cup, Bridgestone would like to commit to Bridgestone E8 commitment in the 3 areas. The first one is emotion. This is to commit inspiring excitement and spreading joy to the world of mobility. The second one is energy. This is to commit to the realization of a carbon neutral mobility and society. And the last one is the ecology, to commit to advancing sustainable tire technology and solutions that preserves the environment for future generations.
The Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceanic Championship, certified by FIA, returned to the international scene as the most significant single-seater championship in New Zealand and Australia, rewarding its champion with a highly significant haul of 18 super license points. It has proved popular for junior formula drivers over the years because of its unique timing at the start of the year, which is in the middle of the New Zealand summer and the Northern Hemisphere's winter. It races at tracks in both the South Island and North Island. The series consists of 5 consecutive action-packed weekends with 3 competitive races each. No wonder New Zealand's premier single-seater category attracts drivers from around the globe. The first round of the 2023 Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceanic Championship got underway in the Highlands Motorsport Park in Cromwell, located only 45 minutes away from Queenstown. The first rounds of the championship took place on the challenging and unique course and produced 3 different winners on 3 different races. Kiwis Callum Hedge and James Penrose won the first 2 installments, but it was the American David Morales who took the checkered flag first in the longer and more valuable Sunday feature race. None of the winners, however, could match the consistency over the weekend of Austrian Charlie Wurz, whose run of strong results, 2 second-place finishes and a 4th, put him ahead as the championship moved south to Ingvar Cargill's Taratanga Park. Wurz completed round 1 of the series lead but didn't have a race win to his credit. He put that right in round 2 with 2 wins from 3, including a lights to flag win in the weekend's feature race, the Spirit of a Nation Cup. The third weekend of 5 is often a critical one in New Zealand's premier single-seater series. 16 cars take to the track on this third weekend, and the current Indy Pro 2000 champion, Britain's Lewis Foster, put lack of circuit time, lack of car time, lack of recent wet weather experience, lack of recent standing start experience, lack of safety car restarts, and lack of sleep all behind him to romp away to an amazing victory in wet conditions. Briton Josh Mason managed to hold off countryman Lewis Foster in race 2 to win his first race of the championship. The third race of the weekend ended with a Kiwi 1-2-3, with Hedge following Penrose home and Liam Skeets taking his 3rd feature race podium in as many weekends. 20 drivers lined up on the international circuit at Hampton Downs Motorsport Park, with each aiming to add their name to the list of motorsport legends who have won the New Zealand Grand Prix. New Zealander Caleb Gatoa got his mission to win the New Zealand Grand Prix off to a perfect start with a victory in the first race at Hampton Downs. A perfect start was exactly what the man from Martin delivered against world-class opposition, rocketing away from the second spot on the grid and never looking back as he raced away to the win. With barely a week in New Zealand under his belt, rising Dutch star Laurens van Hoppen left his rivals in his dust as he dominated the 67th New Zealand Grand Prix at Hampton Downs. The last round of the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship took place at the Taupo International Motorsport Park. Kiwi Callum Hedge won in style in race 1, fighting off a charging Lewis Foster and taking the championship lead with just 2 races to go. It ended in one big final effort from Foster on the last lap, but it wasn't enough. Hedge held firm to win, and in the process turned a 10-point deficit in the points to Charlie Wurz into a 3-point advantage heading into the final day. American racer Chloe Chambers made motorsport history in New Zealand, winning the penultimate race of the 2023 championship. In doing so, she became the first woman to win a race in the 18-year history of the country's Toyota-based premier single-seater championship. The 18-year-old converted a near-perfect start into a lights-to-flag victory ahead of Caleb Gatoa. In the final race of the championship, Austrian Charlie Wurz stayed calm as drama unfolded around him to take the victory and the title. Wurz put a troubled Saturday behind him and did everything he had to do on Sunday at the Taupo Motorsport Park in New Zealand to win his first major junior Formula Championship. The championship adds 18 FIA Super License points to Wurz's tally as he continues his quest to follow his father Alexander into a career in Formula One. On a vital final day, Charlie was unstoppable. He led from start to finish in the Denny Holm Trophy finale. Callum Hedge, who had a 3-point lead in the title race on Sunday morning, could do nothing and had to settle for second place overall. U.S. driver Jacob Abel finished third in the final championship standings, a great finish to an action-packed 5 weeks in New Zealand. The second stop of the FIA African Rally Championship took place in Kenya. 19 teams enlisted for the 2023 Equator Rally, and after 10 stages and 433 kilometers, only 9 teams survived the demanding course. Uganda's Yassine Nassar and co-driver Ali Katumba showed a great performance in their Ford Fiesta Rally 2. They managed to finish in second place, just 6 minutes 20 seconds behind Kenyan Karan Patel and co-driver Han Tusif, who won the title for the second year running. James Wharton was crowned Formula 4 United Arab Emirates champion in a dramatic conclusion to the 15-race, 5-round series at Abu Dhabi's Yas Marina circuit. The 16-year-old Australian led home main title rival to Katapunen in the first 2 races to give himself a healthy points advantage. Both drivers didn't finish the last race of the season, and Wharton was confirmed champion. Tu Katapunen finished in second place overall. American driver Ugo Ugochukwu landed in third place. The new season of the FIA Karting European Championship in the OK and Junior categories started with a record-setting field. The event attracted 182 entries from 50 countries, and the numerous spectators saw great karting action. In the Junior category, Thibaut Ramakers from Belgium had a great weekend and won the final to take the lead in the overall standings. In the OK category, the experienced Joe Turney was unstoppable. The English driver was smooth and supreme, and he won in Spain for the second year in succession. Team managers of racing teams have a 24/7 job. It makes no difference whether your team competes in Formula 1 or Formula 4. The job demands everything from you, but the path to becoming a team manager can be very different.
Became a team manager, basically working my way up from the bottom.
I grew up in a motorsports family.
I was a race engineer for about 10 years.
I did some driving myself. Then one thing led to another.
Oh. Well, I started as a driver, and then after that, I decided to have a team.
As the name suggests, the team manager is the boss of the team, a team that plays a major role in whether a season goes well or badly. That's why the composition of the team is extremely important. But what makes a good team member apart from very good expertise?
One who likes his boss? No.
I always find the number one thing is attitude.
Teamwork, number one. And another thing is attention to detail.
Willing to learn and to work with others are quite important.
Because the challenges for each individual team member are enormous on a race weekend. In the main position, of course, for the team manager, who is the number one point of contact for everybody, especially at the beginning of the season, when everything is still fresh and new.
You know, it's new people, new cars, so you get some guys that don't know the car. They don't know how you want to work. They don't know each other. So it's a challenge.
And now the competition level is completed another step.
You have to decide before the season starts, you know, the equipment, the consumables, you have to manage that correctly.
So obviously you have to deal with the young drivers, so yeah, a nice puzzle.
It's a quite intense period, you know, with 5 events in 6 weeks.
But I think the bigger challenge is knowing the area. Every session, the track is almost a new track.
The basic prerequisite is a passion for motorsport. All team managers bring this passion with them and are happy to take on the stress, the little sleep, and the many challenges because they love their job.
Yeah, I think I've got the best job in the world, you know, to mix my passion since I was a kid.
I'm never going to be far from motorsport. I love it. If I'm not an engineer, if I'm not a manager, I would be something different.
You have to like what you're doing. I think you have to like the people, the cars, the challenge of trying to be winning, and the challenge of trying to be better than everybody.
You know, here we are, whatever, 15 years later, it's my life now.
A life for motorsport. The Formula Regional Middle East Championship, certified by FIA, is a brand new series which holds its inaugural season in 2023. It's comprised of 5 rounds to be held at 3 FIA Grade 1 circuits: the Dubai Autodrome, the brand new Kuwait Motor Town, and the Yas Marina circuit. 5 race weekends of 3 races each were held in just 5 weeks, an optimal situation for young drivers because they get a lot of valuable track time under competition conditions. No wonder the field was 27 drivers strong.
Looking at the starting grid is really impressive because we have all the best European team, Asian teams, the best drivers. Most of the junior program drivers are joining this championship, so I expect that will be a very competitive series.
This is the optimal preparation for the new season, especially for the young drivers who want to make the switch from Formula 4 to Formula Regional. Like the Italian Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who took an astonishing 26 race wins in F4 last year and carried off the Italian and German titles. The young Italian wants to use the series to prepare himself optimally for his first season in the Formula Regional European Championship. The first winner of the new season was Dino Beganovic. The 18-year-old Swede driving for the Mumbai Falcons came out on top of a feisty battle with Gabriel Mini. Mini was defending the lead with all his might before he slowed down on the final lap and dropped to 6th place. The second race was won by Nihil Bora. And in race 3, Spanish driver Mari Boya succeeded. 3 different winners in the first 3 races. But Italian Kimi Antonelli moved into an early championship lead with 4th and 6th positions to add to his second in the final race of the weekend. Antonelli finished the first weekend 6 points ahead of his Mumbai Falcons teammate Rafael Camara, with Taylor Barnard a further 2 points behind. 3 rookies on the top of the standings. On the second and third race weekends, the Formula Regional Middle East Championship made history as the first single-seater series to race at the new 5.609-kilometer-long Kuwait Motor Town. The new circuit was a step into the unknown for all teams and drivers, providing a fascinating competitive level playing field. The second race weekend saw again 3 different winners, but the third weekend was the time when the rookie drivers took control over the FR Middle East Championship. Race 7 of the season began with the top 3 drivers, all Hyderabad Blackbirds, tripping over each other into the first braking zone. This meant Dirksen lost his second pole and allowed Antonelli through into second place before he eventually got past Boya for the lead. He kept him behind until the Spaniard got overtaken by Camara, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli took his first career win in the Formula Regional category. In the next race, Antonelli started 10th on the reversed grid, but steadily climbed up the order, and soon the Italian was in second position, and then passed his Mumbai Falcons teammate Kirill Smal for the victory. The last race of the weekend was a superb exhibition by Antonelli and Barnard, but there was no stopping Barnard, who passed Antonelli with 3 laps remaining. Antonelli's championship advantage ballooned to 44 points over Barnard, with Brazilian Ferrari driver Academy prospect Camara a further 9 adrift. The penultimate round of the season was held back in Dubai, where Antonelli and Nikita Bedrin shared poles. The former dropped down to 3rd at the start of the first race, but Antonelli soon recovered 2nd from Swiss ace Dufek and then wrestled the lead from British talent Barnard following an early safety car. Antonelli's Mumbai Falcons teammate Rafael Camara was also making progress. The Brazilian pulled off brilliant braking maneuvers on Dufek for 3rd and then on Barnard to claim 2nd, but Andrea Kimi Antonelli won his 4th race of the season. The second race was won by Pepe Marti, and the third race was won by Nikita Bedrin. The final round of the championship brought the series to the Yas Marina circuit. Again, the weekend had 3 different winners in 3 races. The 2 title contenders, Antonelli and Barnard, started alongside each other and had a battle that ended in tears when Antonelli rear-ended Barnard, spun him around, and earned himself a 10-second penalty. Both drivers remained pointless, and race 1 was won by Mari Boya. Barnard needed to score points in race 2 to keep his title hopes alive, but had a horrible start that dropped him out of the top 20. Pepe Marti took the lead from Shin and won race 2. Barnard could only manage 18th place, so Antonelli took the championship despite receiving another penalty and not scoring again. The last race of the season was won by Nikita Bedrin. The championship was dominated by category rookies who occupied the top 3 places in the final standings. Antonelli showed remarkable consistency, only finishing outside the top 10 when the title was already all but secured. That's it for today. On our next episode of FIA Pure Motorsport, we'll introduce you to cross-country driver Dania Akil. We'll have a quick look at the karting talents in Spain. Plus, we'll show you the FIA Rally Star Asia Pacific Final. Till next time, everybody, take care and ciao.
Crossing the finish line, Jordan Cox and Mark Crutcher in the Crutcher Developments Mustang will get the 35-lap endurance race win here this afternoon. Welcome everyone to the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series panel show as we recap from round number 2 at Hidden Valley Raceway, and we look forward to what is coming up and preview round number 3 at Queensland Raceway. Joining me here on the show today, of course, is Stephen White from the Benalla Auto Club, and overseeing the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, Mark Crutcher, one of our competitors, and Jordan Cox, who joined us in Darwin for round number 2 in the Kings of the North TA2 Muscle Car Endurance, where we had 2 drivers for the first time ever. Welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Matt. Great to be here.
Steve, fantastic series up there, and yourself as General Manager of the Benalla Auto Club. What was it like taking all the competitors to Darwin, and what were some of the outcomes we had from that?
Well, fantastic. For a starter, you know, a huge thanks to everyone that supported us and got us there. Obviously to Hi-Tec Oils for believing in us and getting us all that way up to Darwin. But gee, what an event! A milestone for our club for this series. But certainly the people involved, and look, something significant for Darwin. So, yeah, look, these guys as competitors, I'm sure, had a great time, and they'll be able to talk about that. But us as series promoters and people that can facilitate an event, what a fantastic experience, and we look forward to, you know, working on that some more in the future.
We talk about the North Australian Motorsport Club up there. How involved were they in bringing the series?
Yeah, so they supplied us with some people on the ground, and obviously we're a part of our connection up there to Darwin. So part of our overall plan is to always integrate other clubs and other tracks involving them in our event. So what we've tried to do there is make sure that we can work with them and put some, if you like, plant the seeds of the future and continue to work and grow on that event as we do right around the country. But yeah, long way to go, and certainly a lot of commitment from a lot of good people. But yeah, I mean, world's first TA2 two-driver event, you know, some fantastic racing from our competitors and support classes. But most importantly, I think, you know, it was just a great experience to put an event on up there.
Well, let's talk to a couple of the drivers now that made the trek north, and it's a lot of kilometres to carry the car up to, Mark. How did you find Darwin, and what was it like trying to get the car up there and the team?
Oh, it was a magnificent event. First of all, congratulations for the courage to you guys and to TA2 to put such an event on up there. It took a lot of courage. A lot of quality drivers made the trip. I was thankful that Ian McAllister actually drove the cars up, so Hugh and I were like superstars. We flew up, so thanks to Macca for taking the big trip. A lot of transporters made their way up there with the rest of the car, so it was actually probably the most exciting thing we've done as competitors. And to team up with my mate Coxie there and to do a 10 or a 2-driver event was incredible, and it's new to all of us. But I'd say it's a massive step forward for the category, and more of those enduro events is just makes it more exciting. And even when we were there, the tension that was around trying to get driver changes correct, even getting strategies right, which a couple of people really messed up. You know, it was just the excitement of it. Saturday we had a couple of teething problems, which I understand, and Sunday was just awesome. It was absolutely brilliant.
And how did the combination between yourself and Jordan come about? I mean, Jordan's here, joined us via Zoom. Jordan, what was it like to team up with Mark, and how did the relationship come about?
I've been fortunate enough to know Mark for a few years now in the Nissan Pulsar series around New South Wales, and we've become good friends. And Mark hasn't been racing for long, but mate, he seems like, you know, he has. He's one of the most competitive guys around, and he's always got a big smile when he's at the racetrack. So, and mate, you know, he needed a driver, and I was very fortunate that he thought of me.
And obviously with driving, there was some talk in the lead up, Jordan, to this event around, you know, your experience around front wheel drives, etc., etc. And I actually did have a bit of a laugh with Mark during the end of the heat race that you won, talking about the fact that you know, there were some people out there talking about you had a point to prove. The reality is you can drive and drive very well, but it was certainly significant that you won that race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive thing is just rubbish, I think. If you've got a steering wheel and a couple of pedals, you still got to go around the racetrack. It's all the same thing. So it's all the same principles at the end of the day. But the cars are quite unique in the way that they handle and drive with that crossfire who's your tyre, in a very good way, that is. They're reasonably user-friendly for what they are too, which means most broad level of drivers can can drive them, and they puts on for exciting racing. And that's what I couldn't get over from the weekend. It's just how close it was, how exhilarating it was for us drivers. You could make a mistake and you can get away with it, or you could, it really hurt you if you underdrove it as well. So the cars really entice you to drive them hard and put on good racing.
And Mark, for yourself, seeing Jordan drive the car, especially in that final 35-lap endurance, Jordan brings the car home. You got a dominant lead at the end, but he made a heap of positions throughout that race.
Oh, it was a pretty special combination, wasn't it? I think I told you before, I started 16th and overtook the 4 cars that all ran off and passed it over to Jordan in 12th, and I think it took him 5 or 6 laps to clean up some very good drivers. The exciting thing about the whole show was a guy like Jordan, who's probably, I believe, one of the best drivers and best talents in Australia, bar none, gets an opportunity to showcase how good he is. He's as good as the best in the country as far as I'm concerned, and hopefully this might lead to better things for him. So I was really proud to drive him, and I was a bit teary when he went over the line because I was so happy for him. And it was to do it with one of your mates in a big event for TA2, and I love TA2, I'm really part of that culture. So it was emotional for my wife and I. We loved it, so thanks to Coxie.
Yeah, and obviously from the sidelines and us observing it, Mark, and you could see that Jordan was pretty happy and you were pretty happy too. But the uniqueness of a 2-driver event, that's something that I think that the future holds a bit of excitement around that. I think that's something that would you be interested in continuing to do some other 2-driver events around TA2?
Oh, absolutely. I think the enormity of the success of this shows that there's got to be part of an annual event for us, whether it's Darwin, which was great, whether it's Sydney, it doesn't matter where it is. The whole concept of making it into a team game, which it is always anyway. Motorsport's a team game. Like, you rely on your mechanics, everyone through there, the people on the radio. It's not just a dumb fella holding the wheel up. It's a team game anyhow. I think it was one of the most special things we could do as a team, and it's going to be a big part of TA2 in the future.
Yeah. Well, we thank the team from Crutcher Developments, Mark Crutcher and Jordan Cox. Thanks for joining us.
Mate, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was fantastic to have you up in Darwin, and we look forward to everything, Mark, that you're going to bring in round number 3 at Queensland Raceway.
Oh, thank you, guys. And just to let you know that I'm going overseas, so Jordan will be steering the number 4 Mustang at Sydney Motorsport Park. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him go up against the boys by himself again.
Our next guest is one half of the winning team from the TA2 Muscle Car Kings of the North and $20,000 winner Dylan Thomas. Also joining us is our series race director Andrew Wilton. Now let's start with you, Dylan. Fantastic win up there in Darwin in the Endurance Series, the Kings of the North, the first time ever. What was it like walking away with the win?
Well, it's never bad walking away from a win, but yeah, I mean, it was an endurance race. It was fantastic that TA2 put on the first ever 2-driver event. My background is endurance racing, so we went up fairly confident. Had Brooksy on board, and Brooksy's a caliber steerer, not just in Trans Am what he had done previously, but also going back to Toyota 86s where he won the championship, Formula V national champion. He's a caliber driver, and he's also jumped in cars with me in the Evos before and done endurance racing in the Winton, Wakefield 300s and stuff. So Brooksy's been around for a long time. Our team has done a lot of endurance racing, so we went up with a lot of confidence, a very clear strategy, and by the time the Sunday main race came along, we were in a position where we could only lose it ourselves.
I think in the lead up, Dylan, you yourself and Tim were pretty strong. Out of all the cars you picked with good combinations, I mean, and felt like the whole field was a good combination, particularly the names that were popping up. But certainly Tim, as you've said, I think is probably underrated, even though he's had those results with 86s and other things, and Vs, and yourself. Obviously, your experience around endurance. And how did you find that the two of you drove together? Obviously, you've done stuff before together, but just across the weekend, obviously Tim did really well in his heats. You obviously were striving to get points across those heats as well. And then the final race was pretty much a strategy. I know we spoke in the pits during the race. It was pretty much a strategy of let's get us home, and stay out of trouble.
Yeah, I would say in hindsight, I'm actually very disappointed with that final race because, Brooksy's very good at attention to detail setup on the car. And I mean, even after we won the endurance race on the Saturday night, we did all that prep Saturday after the event. Saturday night, we're back home having dinner, whatever. Brooksy rings. I want to change the front end. I want to change the rear end. I want to do a damper change. I'm like, whoa, just slow it up, So he still threw a whole bunch of extra changes to the car, even though we had a pretty good car, and so he's very good. I mean, and that the car we drove on Sunday was the best car I've ever driven. It was just like, it didn't take anything out of me. And we were going forward, and we had that conservative strategy. Now, with that conservative strategy, we were thinking about the weekend, and my disappointment is maybe I should have thought a bit more about the series, and I think Lockie Mansell said that pretty well as well. So, yeah, so we probably gave away a bunch of points because even we're thinking about just that event's win and the 20k that obviously goes with it, and helps pay for those sort of trips. We were a lap down because we didn't pit under safety car. But I was still moving forward without even trying. I'm like, I don't want to battle you. Oh, we're going forward. Oh, I don't want to battle. And we kept moving forward. The car was that good. So, yeah, so it was one of those funny situations. You got out of the car, you're stoked to have won the event, but you're disappointed with the Sunday result. We really probably should have been on the podium on that Sunday result because we basically got to about 5th on the road without trying and with a poor strategy and a lap down. If we had have done the strategy, we were already leading. I can't see how we wouldn't have been on the podium.
Well, let's talk about the series now. You come out of this round number 2 with an 11-point lead. You're currently leading the championship. What does that mean for you coming into Queensland? Is it again a strategic point just to try and get on the podium or get some points up there in the top 5, or are we really going to start seeing you fighting it out for the wins?
Look, let's do the traditional line. It's too early to talk about championships. We're only 1/3 of the way through. But and reality, that is the fact. It's if two rounds of 6 down, if we start talking about championship and start going conservative, it's going to go away pretty quickly. 11 points isn't that bigger margin. But the reality is our strategy, and we were discussing it prior to coming on air. If we sat top 4 of every single race, which I think is more than achievable for our team, if we sit top 4 of every race, we're going to be in the championship discussion. And by the time Calder comes, if we're in championship discussion, then we can see how aggressive or how conservative we need to be at that point. So it's still event by event. I really need to work on my qualifying. I've never been a great qualifier. So if we can get a bit closer to the front from the start of the weekend, you sort of minimise what points you lose, and you also get yourself a little bit more out of risk, hopefully.
Well, as we move in to talk about round number 3 in Queensland Raceway, let's head over to our series race director, Andrew Wilton.
Yeah, g'day, Matty. Thanks for having me on. Look, it's been great. I think everyone's sort of been enjoying the series thus far. We're 2 rounds in, and a couple of great tracks in both Winton and Darwin under our belts. So, I think everyone's enjoying it immensely to this point, and looking forward to the remainder of the year.
What are some of the tracks you're looking forward to getting to at the rest of the season?
Look, Queensland Raceway is going to be an interesting one for me. Obviously, round 3 coming up next. When I'm not moonlighting as the race director for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, I am also the competitions manager at Queensland Raceway. It's going to be a massive meeting, and look, I think that's going to be really exciting. And probably the other one for me, having never been there, looking at exciting at the end of the year, is going to be Calder Park. A lot of people that won't have raced there before, so to have that opportunity as part of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series, I think it's going to be fantastic for the year.
Yeah, and Dylan, obviously looking forward to Queensland. A couple of weeks' time, you're talking about, not necessarily talking about championship, but obviously going into there with probably a bit smarter head around the fact that you've had that great result out of Darwin. Queensland, any strength there, or anything you're going there already packaged with, or something that you've got to work on there?
Well, since things went really well at Darwin, I'm going to bring my secret weapon to Queensland Raceway. We're bringing Brooksy back to come and work on setup with us, because his attention to detail is far greater than mine, and some of the speed he unlocked out of the car was pretty special. So we'll bring him up to Queensland Raceway. He reckons he's got a couple of secret setups that he used back in the day, so let's see if it works out.
Well, thanks to our guest Andrew Wilton, our series race director, and Dylan Thomas. Good luck in Queensland. We'll be back after this short break. Next up, we do have Brett Peters, the Australian Hyundai Excel category manager, and Michael Ricketts from the Australian Super TT. Welcome back to the panel show for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Our next guest joining us is Brett Peters from the Australian Hyundai Excel Championship, and joining us for the first time in the series as well. Welcome, Brett.
Welcome, Matt. Welcome, Stephen.
Now, you've got some exciting news about this series. It's obviously very brand new. You're joining the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Matt, look, one of our series here, the Track Attack series, has been running since the inception. It's sort of the home of Excel racing. And for quite a few years now, EFS 4x4 accessories have been our naming rights sponsor. And I'm very, very stoked to announce that they'll be the naming rights sponsor for the Australian series. They've been long supporters of our team, and together with Royal Harris, several local races as well, and it's great to have them on board.
Obviously, Brett, with you joining the series in Queensland, that's your home, really your home track for your series, your Queensland-based series, Track Attack. What have you seen as far as the interest from the competitors that are joining this particular series for the national series? Has there been obviously some really interest from the southern states as well?
Oh, absolutely, Stephen. The interest up here has been probably, to be honest, bigger than I expected, because obviously there's some travel involved, but you know, we've got over 20 of the local competitors that want to do all 3 rounds, and obviously they had a good look at the Hi-Tec series. We're fortunate to be entering now at round 3. They've had the TV sensational, the racing, all the different categories, so they're super stoked.
How important is it to go to a national series for up-and-coming talent?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, Matt. I've been a little dubious about going too big too soon, so that's why we've chosen just to do the 3 rounds. We're very lucky. XL Racing's gone absolutely nuts in Australia, so there's hundreds and hundreds of cars. There's not a lack of competitors, but all the states run very successful series. They've got good numbers, so we just wanted to be sure that we crawl before you walk and walk before you run, hence the 3 rounds this year.
And obviously leading in towards Queensland in a couple of weeks, going forward from there, you're running at Sydney Motorsport Park under lights. So some of your drivers are going to go south. Yes, there is some locals that are going to be competing, but some of your drivers are going to go south. And what are you looking for there? Obviously there's a new experience as far as the TV, but certainly the track goes.
Look, absolutely right. Whilst we've got a few tracks in Queensland, we're very, very fortunate. A big percentage of those guys that want to travel south, it's the experience, it's racing at other tracks. Once again, racing with other competitors, just not the same group. So, they're super excited to go, particularly Sydney Motorsport Park, and at night time. It ticks all the boxes.
Well, Brent, we thank you for your time and joining us here on the panel show today. We can't wait to see the series in Queensland. It's going to be absolutely spectacular, and we know you've got some strong numbers, so can't wait for the action.
Thanks, guys. We can't wait, and look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Thanks, Brent.
Steve, really exciting to have the Hyundai Excels go to a national series and joining the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series for the first time. What are we going to expect to see, do you think, from the racing itself? Because we know so many of them on track. It's going to be a little bit of bump and steer.
Yeah, look, I think it's obviously a little bit more like you've seen with TA2, the action of TA2, but we're putting it in a smaller vehicle, but no less fierce and certainly more cut and thrust. I mean, you've got Brett's unique where he's running a series in Queensland, then he's joining and that series has grown to now be an Australian series. They've had grids of 50 cars, so 50 XLs, and it'd be great if we get a grid like that at Queensland, but certainly the other tracks is going to be unbelievable, action-packed. And the other thing is that it makes it accessible. So the platform, which is what Brett spoke about, these guys are people that have come through the sport. Yeah, maybe some guys that have built a race car a bit later in life, but a lot of younger guys, a lot of guys that are on their way to somewhere. So it's going to be really fierce, and I think some of the racing in Hyundais will be absolutely unbelievable. Like Brett said, there's a lot of cars. There's certainly no shortage of competitors, but wow, it's going to be a fantastic and exciting time for those guys joining a series, but for us to see all that action-packed racing, it's going to be amazing.
Our next guest joining us here via Zoom is Michael Ricketts, who's been competing in the Australian Super TT Championship. Welcome, Michael. It's been a fantastic adventure. You started off in Winton, and then you made the trek all the way north to Darwin.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, it was a bit of a trip to Darwin. It's only 4 hours from Young down to Winton, but 40 hours up to Darwin. So together with Ian McAllister and his wife, my wife and I, we made a bit of a holiday out of it and took 5 days to drive up there, but yeah, a lot quicker on the trip home.
Obviously with the travel, Michael, and your little car up there, as I say, I watched your car in practice on the Saturday, and there was a couple of other people around me who remarked how angry it sounded and how impressive it was. Obviously you're amongst those cars from the combined sedans, the local NAMP school, North Australian Motorsports Club category, but it was a bit of a giant killer up there. You know, you had some Commodores and some bigger machinery around you, but gee, you got going certainly in the handicap, or I should say the reverse grid race on the Monday. You led it there for a while, so I think a little bit surprising, but certainly didn't necessarily lose that much on that big long kilometre straight.
No, that's right. The V8 rear-wheel drive cars had it all over us on the start line. When they dropped the clutch, boy, they left some black tyre marks on the track, and I think by the time we got to the first corner, we especially in the braking zone, the little light car being only 900 kilos, we were able to get past a couple of them and just gradually pick them up around the track. They're a bit slower out of the corner. They've got to wait, whereas front-wheel drive car, I can get onto the power sooner. So it's all about that corner speed. And funny you mentioned the car being sounding quite angry. Well, that's all up to the engine builder, Jordan Cox. He certainly got it going well.
We talk about the travel up there. You took your wife. What is it like to be able to go to all these different tracks and make the family part of your journey?
It was great. I got a surprise I didn't realise, but they planned my daughter and her husband and 4 grandkids. They come up as well, and so they went crocodile feeding and down to the down on the beach there with where they have the wave making at the. And the grandkids, they just had a great time up there. Thought it was absolutely fantastic. So, really, really enjoyed it.
What did you think of the track, Michael? I mean, obviously for your little car, we've just spoken about some of the different characteristics of Hidden Valley. But the track itself, it was obviously something that your car suited, particularly around the back, but just something different and another track to compete at?
Yeah, I was surprised. I had a lot of people say to me, they didn't like the track, but like before I went up there, but when I got there, I was really surprised. I really liked the track. I thought it was a great layout. It's interesting when you go around and you think of, other tracks we compete at. It seems to have a bit of everything in there. It's got that lovely big straight, that double apex bottom corner, a bit like turn 2 at Eastern Creek. Up around the back, there's a little bit there like you're at Winton. Yeah, so there's quite a few little mixes of a lot of other tracks that, but it definitely suited the small, nimble, lightweight front-wheel drive car, that's for sure.
Well, Michael, we've loved having you be part of the Australian Super TT Championship. We can't wait for the next appearance you make, which I believe is Sydney Motorsport Park. Yeah, looking forward to Sydney. I've obviously living here where we do at Young in central New South Wales. Sydney's one of the tracks we frequent quite a lot, so I'm pretty familiar with Sydney, so I'm really looking forward to mixing it up down there. It's a bit faster track, Sydney. Like there's a lot more, the corners are a little bit more open and flowing than say the one in the Hidden Valley in Darwin. Like turn 1 at Eastern Creek, Sydney Motorsport Park now it's called. It's nearly one of the fastest turns in on the Australian circuit. We go through there at about 190, 95 in that car. So yeah, it's pretty quick. Well, thank you for your time today, Michael. It's been great joining us here on the panel show for the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. We look forward, though, to round number 3, Steve, coming to us from Queensland Raceway. And now that's coming up very quickly, the 2nd to the 4th of June. Yeah, absolutely. It's come across, we've come across it so quickly. And talking about prepping cars and getting cars there and travelling them home and getting them back there. It's a little bit like us, we're turning around and getting back to another event. So yeah, Queensland Raceway, another track, certainly something with a fast flowing turn 1 and 2 section, and obviously they call it the paperclip, but relies on speed, relies on corner speed, as well as certainly a lot of good balanced handling. So it's going to be really a pretty tight tussle there for every category that's going to be joining us. And we're joining the Motorsports Festival up there, which is the 2 days of thunder as well. Yep. So plenty more categories joining us through this round number 3 as well. Yeah, look, Queensland Raceway, we work closely through our AASA sanctioning body with Queensland Raceway across all their events, and this is just a natural progression of our partnership working with them. This is 2 days of thunder. It's actually a motorsport or a motoring week or a speed week up there in Ipswich. So we've been able to work together with the management of with Josh and Andrew and Tony and his team up there at Queensland Raceway to put together a package where we come along and we join their series or join their event, and we bring the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series along, and we have our headline acts and they have their categories, and we all basically work together. I mean, to be honest, it's a perfect scenario. We've got the ability to be working closely with the event organisers and certainly the track managers, but we're working together through our sanctioning body as well. So it works well for us, and it's obviously going to be a really exciting event. I mean, we're talking at this stage around about 200 entries, so it's a fantastic event. It's going to be action-packed.
that's for sure.
It's not far away now. Round number 3 of the Hi-Tec Oils Super Series. For more details, go to hitecoilsuperseries.au. We can't wait to see you there June 2nd to 4th up at Queensland Raceway in Ipswich.